connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
What up, sports fans? Y'all know what time it is. It's your boy Ray Lynn, the Sports Reporter at Outpay, coming at you on a Monday night. It's the Sports Arena, and we live. Let me get my boy in here, Mr. John Shear. What's going on, fam? How you doing?
Hey, man. We survived yesterday to beat the Steelers, and then we're going to stomp you next week. So,
So, real quick, before I get, because we got some special guests for y'all tonight. What did you think about Tua coming back that fast?
I'm perfectly happy with it. Hey, we won. I'm happy. He took hits. He's all good.
This is not on our topic list, and I need to get our guests in. But had he took a hit, you wouldn't be saying that right now. Like that was we do the reaction based on based on how it happened, right? Like that's what happened last time.
Hey, you're an NFL quarterback. You got to take a hit eventually.
I'm with you. All right, let's get our special guests in. We have two special guests for y'all. This is both their first time making an appearance on the Sports Arena. We're going to start with my man, Trey. We got our own Megan, the Queen of Hoops. He's like the king of hoops, Mr. Get a Bucket himself. What's going on, Trey?
Appreciate you, Ray. Appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's been a minute.
Hey, listen, man, and then you came dressed correctly. You know what I'm saying? You came dressed correctly. Like, that's all that matters. You came dressed correctly. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And then let me get my other brother in here, man. Me and this guy got a history. We first met on a debate show. You know what I'm saying? I won. But he the real deal, man. You can catch him on The Real Deal with Damian Adams, the 33 podcast. You got two other platforms. What is it, GSMC? Am I saying that correct?
Yes, sir.
GSMC, Golden State Media Concepts, basketball and boxing. The real deal himself, Mr. Damian Adams. What's going on, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be on the show. I'm a big fan of you guys, so I'm glad I finally got this invite.
Hey, that's my guy right there, man. So we're going to jump right into it, man. We're going to start off NFL. Trade made shockwaves through the league this week, right? Christian McCaffrey, we all know, the Carolina's basically in full rebuild mode, and they traded him to the San Francisco 49ers. Damian, I'm going to start with you. What does this mean? Not only for San Francisco, but the NFC as a whole. What does this mean?
This means that San Francisco definitely feels that they are Super Bowl contenders, and they should feel that way. They've been Super Bowl contenders for quite a while now. And this move, I think, puts them ahead of everybody else in the NFC West, right? Seattle's still spicy. They're still doing their thing. But the rest of the NFC West, I don't trust the Rams right now, the offensive line. The Cardinals, I know they looked good against the Saints. My Saints are horrible right now, though. So I wouldn't take that with too much, credit to give them. So I think that the 49ers have put themselves in a position to be one of the top teams in the NFC, behind the NFC East with all their good teams right now. And they're saying, we're here to stay. We're here to go for a Super Bowl. So NFC with this move, better watch out, because Christian McCaffrey feels like the perfect player for this system. So I do think it was a good move. It's risky, but it's injury history. But if it works out, it can work out in a really big way for San Francisco.
Let me get my other guest in here, Trey. So does this make them you do have the reigning Super Bowl champs in the same division. Seattle looks good. The rest of the NFC doesn't look so good. I saw a weird stat today. Outside of the NFC East, there are only two teams in the whole NFC with winning records right now. Looks like anybody's ball game. Does this move shift? Does this shift the needle at all for you?
It does. I was actually talking with Freddie and a couple of the boys, and we were basically saying, the Eagles, they're nice and solid.
You like the Bucks because of Tom, but they look a little shaky. I don't know, like the 49ers defense was always just impressive. So now you throw in Christian McCaffrey. You know, I'm glad he's gonna get a chance to maybe win a ring. He won't go get it with the Panthers. You know, it hurts, but hey, I like the move for him. Jimmy G's is a pretty good quarterback, not elite, but a pretty good quarterback. He can win you some games, and now you got the necessary weapons around him. So I think the 49ers can actually bring this one home, fellas.
So, John, I'm coming to you. Like we always laugh and joke with you about Tua, right? He just mentioned all of these weapons, right? Because we were saying the same stuff about Derek Carr before the season. When they added Devontae Adams, you like, now they got Devontae Adams, you got Josh Jacobs, you got Hunter Renfrow, you got what? Like, you look at San Francisco, and you got Deebo Samuels, you got George Kittle, now you have Christian McCaffrey. I have no idea why every time people talk San Francisco, they go, Brandon Ayuk. He ain't showed me nothing to make us keep saying his name, but they love saying Brandon Ayuk.
Only Mike.
Yeah, no, everybody, especially San Francisco fans. Shout out to my guy Ryan Primetime Jones, Brandon Ayuk, right? But you do have these weapons, and then you have an offensive, whatever you want to call him, right? But can they get it done with Jimmy G? So you have two people saying this does shift the needle in the NFC, but is it all for naught as long as Jimmy G's under center?
I don't think it shifts the needle at all. I mean, I feel like the Niners should have been the favorite in the NFC before this, and you don't know if CMC's gonna stay healthy. They have a plethora of running backs. Even though they got CMC, I still think that they use the other running backs. Like, I don't think that Jeff Wilson and when Elijah Mitchell comes back, I don't think those guys just disappear because CMC's there. Like, I think they still use a plethora of running backs. Fantasy owners might not like hearing that, but I still think you're going to see all those running backs in some capacity, but it doesn't shift the needle because the Niners should have been the favorite before this. But, I mean, they didn't go, as far as I know, they didn't go and trade for a quarterback, did they? Because Jimmy G is still under center. As long as Jimmy G is under center, like, that means the Niners are still the Niners and they're still handicapped. And that bodes well for whoever they're playing in the playoffs.
I don't know if I agree with the sentiment that these guys aren't going to just disappear. They'll be there. It's a good insurance policy to have McCaffrey has injury history. But that man got traded and suited up 2 days later. Like, and they wanted him out there. Did you see the crowd's reaction when he was on the field?
The crowd doesn't play football.
Yeah, but that matters. That matters, right? Like,
the crowd means nothing. I don't care about the crowd. Like, you think Shanahan cares about the crowd? No. Like, you're still going to see Jeff Wilson. You're still going to see Elijah Mitchell. Like, he loves those guys. You saw Jeff Wilson got plenty of carries and he looked really good. Like, he loves his running backs. He never. Like, I know it's CMC.
Let me ask you a question. Who looked like the number one back?
Jeff Wilson looked like the number one back yesterday.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he looked really good.
My producer in the back, please get everybody back on screen. I'm not fooling with John tonight. That's not what we're doing tonight. I'm not even finna do this with him.
I didn't say he's going to get the starting job. I'm just telling you that don't be surprised, fantasy owners, because it sounds like you probably have him. Don't be surprised if, like, the other running backs still get carries and still get catches, especially to keep CMC healthy, because you're not going to give him 25 to 30 touches like in Carolina. That's not happening. It's not happening. Sorry to disappoint you, but it's not happening.
I like that for CMC because when we had Chuba Hubbard, I like that whole dynamic. We can hand the ball to both of them and kind of limit those tackles against CMC. Like he's injury prone, so I like the fact that they have the depth at the running back position, and you can also throw him as a wide receiver too. So I mean, I like CMC on the 49ers personally. Like, I was not an Eagles fan, but I thought the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl. I might have to put the 49ers ahead of them right now.
Yeah,
talk to me, Damien.
Don't make Aaron Rodgers' head bigger.
I do agree with Ray that CMC, I think, will get most of the touches at the running back position because you don't give up 4 draft picks to have a guy as a complementary piece. You give up 4 draft picks to have a guy that's going to be your main dude when it comes time to get that first down. And like Trey said, also be one of the slot receivers as well. He's going to be used in multiple ways and may not be 25 to 30 touches, but 15 to 20, I can easily see that.
And I tell you what, if any fantasy owners are upset right now, it's Deebo Samuels. That's who's going to be hurt the most in fantasy because them carries going out the window now. Those carries are gone, right? They'll still try to utilize him. He's probably one of their best playmakers. They'll try and get him the ball in space, but those rushes are probably all but done. So let's move on. We all know Buffalo is legit. We saw last year in the playoffs against Kansas City, we all believed that Buffalo is the real deal, right? But let's talk about those other two teams that reside in New York. The New York Jets sitting at 5-2, New York Giants sitting at 6-1, neither of which actually played in New York. That's neither here nor there, right? I predicted the Jets to have 2 wins. I say again on TV, zoom in real quick. I apologize, Mama Kira Tenuto. That's all. So I'm coming to you first, Trey. Jets, Giants, or both? Are these guys for real? Are they here to? Is this legit?
So Jets are 5-2. Giants 6-1. I like the squads. I'm more impressed by the Giants, if I had to say one. For real is a little tough. Breece Hall just went down, so Jets. That's a big blow. That's a big blow to them.
Hey, pull me back on real quick. Did you see the move?
James Robinson, yeah.
They went and picked up James Robinson today. Just making you aware. That's all. I don't know if that changes your mind at all, but they went and picked up James. They moved on that fast.
They did.
They moved on that fast.
That's interesting. That is interesting. I just he had injury problem. How's he coming back from the injury? Because I kind of fell off on James. I can't lie to you, especially after last season. I had him on the fantasy and he got injured. I was hurt.
Listen, he was doing fantasy. He was doing really well this year, right?
Yeah.
Problem is you had him and ATN, so he was disposable, right? And they went ahead and shipped him on. He's going to walk in there and instantly be the number 1 guy in New York. That's what I think.
I got to see it. Breece just seemed like I don't know. It was something different about him. Like the Giants, Saquon's not going anywhere. Like I think Buddy might be the best running back in the game. I say that a little hesitantly, but at the same time, a decent amount of confidence with that. Like Saquon has been doing pretty well. He's been carrying that squad. He makes Daniel Jones look like a respectable.
Let's backtrack for a second. You said Saquon is what?
I say he could be the best running. No. Saquon's the best running back in the game. I'm gonna say it. And I said with a little hesitancy.
Jinx him. Don't you jinx him,
but
Trey.
at the same
I got him on fantasy.
a little hesitancy, but at the same time, a lot of confidence. I understand you can throw up some stats for some other guys, Ray. I know you're looking up some folks right now.
No, I was looking for he got rid of it. I have this reaction. The dude just like I had that in the back and it's gone. I was like that guy. What? Did Derrick Henry retire? Did Jonathan Taylor quit playing?
Jonathan Taylor, stop. Jonathan Taylor hasn't done anything. Get that name out of your mouth.
Okay, let's stick with the subject matter. I'm gonna come to you, John, since you're already talking. Giants or Jets or both? Who's for real?
Come on, man. Like, how can we even put the Jets in this sentence? Like, first of all,
5-2.
stop it. Stop.
That is real tough.
Zach Wilson's thrown 1 touchdown in 4 games. 1 touchdown. Your quarterback has thrown 1 touchdown in the 4 games he's played, less than 200 yards per game and 2 picks in 4 games. You cannot live that way. You've played nothing but backup quarterbacks the entire year. You're 5-2. Congratulations. You played backup quarterbacks. Your quarterback has no idea how to throw a football, and you just lost the only weapon that's produced for you offensively. You just lost him for the season. You got James Robinson, who was going to lose his job to a rookie last year, but the rookie got hurt. Then this year, ETN stole the job eventually. There's a reason why James Robinson keeps losing the job in Jacksonville. If you can't win the job in Jacksonville, congratulations, you're going to the Jets and winning the job. What does that say? That really doesn't say that much to me. Breece Hall seems like a lot better running back. So I'm not impressed by the Jets at all. If your quarterback can't throw 200 yards a game, if he's throwing 1 touchdown in 4 games, I'm not impressed by the Jets. You played backups all year. When you play Josh Allen, and when you play guys like that, you're not that 5-2. You're not playing Brock Ripien, Brett Ripien, whatever the hell that guy's name is. You're not playing those guys. You're not playing Joe Flacco's of the world. You know what I mean? You're not out there beating Aaron Rodgers.
You're not out there beating Aaron Rodgers. No, you're not doing that. That's not happening.
Everybody's beating Aaron Rodgers.
I just want to say for clarification, Cooper Rush wasn't really averaging 200 yards as a QB, but the Cowboys.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing.
Other ways. So
here's the funny thing, and I'm coming to you, Damien. Prepare your montage. I wish we had real live production rewind it really fast, and show when John just said to the world, I don't think the McCaffrey move moved the needle at all because San Francisco was the favorites before. They don't have a quarterback on their roster that can throw the ball. Not a one. Not the one that got hurt, not the one that's out there now. And they're the favorites in the NFC. And now you're like, I just can't get it done. The quarterback can't throw the ball.
Jimmy G's a lot better than Zach Wilson. What are you talking about? At least he
Jimmy
can manage
G's
the game
awful.
and he's not going to lose you
He's
the game.
awful. That's what Zach Wilson's doing.
He's an
Damien,
average quarterback, and that's all San Fran needs.
Damien, talk to us. New York Giants, New York Jets. One of them for real, both of them are neither.
I think that they've both benefited from their schedules early on. And I think that the Giants will continue to benefit from their schedule, unlike the Jets. So the Jets still have to play Buffalo twice. Still got to play New England twice. They got Minnesota on their schedule. Like, I can easily see them falling down and finishing the season 8-9. But with the Giants, because the NFC, like you mentioned, is very, very bad this year, they're going to continue to benefit from that throughout the rest of the season. Their next few matchups, Seattle, then a bye, Houston, Detroit. Sorry to say that. Then you got Washington twice. You also got the Colts in there as well. Like, they have a lot of favorable matchups going down the year to where they can still play well and look like a great team. So both of these teams aren't great by any means, but the schedule for the Giants is definitely leaning in their favor for them to continue to be successful, while the Jets are going to run to a real rough part of the schedule coming up pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, let's just move on. I don't want to.
Hey, Rick,
You
What you
got
got, Trey?
nothing?
can I ask one quick question? Do y'all? Because I hear you guys, right? Do you guys believe that the Jets or Giants will finish this strongly? Because I understand they started off this strong, but you know,
Well, Damien just eloquently put it. He doesn't think the Jets can maintain this based on their schedule.
right?
Man, listen, I'm of the belief, right? Like, because I do all these pick'ems, and when the season starts, you say the Giants are gonna suck, the Jets is gonna suck, and then you keep picking against them, and at some point, it's like you got to believe what you see instead of what you want to believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're winning football games, man. Like what do you say? They're winning football games. Like, I predicted the Jets to win 2 games, and they're 5-2.
Yeah, they are winning games, right? You have to give them credit for that. But when you look at the last 4 games, right? John mentioned it a little bit. They're playing great defense, but those offenses all stink. Denver offenses stink. Green Bay, their offense stinks. Miami was playing with their third string quarterback. They're going to stink. Pittsburgh, their offense stinks. So we have to see their defense play against a good offense before we can say that defense is legit. And you mentioned the offensive struggles. Like, it's hard for me to see them doing this against New England and Buffalo going forward.
I guess only time will tell. Like, we will see. Like you said, they have New England and Buffalo. They have New England twice in Buffalo over their next 3 games. So we will learn a lot about the New York Jets over the next 3 games. Speaking of AFC East, the guy that used to dominate, and Trey earlier said something about this sorry team, and said because he believes in 12. I don't know why. Like, again, you have to believe what you're actually seeing and not what you want to believe. But two quarterbacks who over the past generation, basically their presence meant you were going to contend, right? But they're both sitting at 3 and 4, and it looks really, really bad. Like, it's not like they're just losing. It looks really, really bad. Like, both teams look just disjointed. Like, so my question, Damien, and I'll start with you: who's in more trouble, Green Bay or Tampa Bay?
I got to go with Green Bay to be in more trouble because they have Minnesota in their division who's playing well right now. Tampa Bay is still in first place in that division. The NFC South is what the NFC East used to be, right? Somebody's going to win that division at like 8-9, 9-8, somewhere in there. So because they're in such a bad division, they still have a chance, which, I'm a Saints fan and that makes me happy because we still got a chance because the division is so bad. But Tampa Bay has a chance to get it together, try to get healthy, and try to get the offensive line somewhat decent throughout the year. I don't know if it's going to be manageable, but if they can get the offensive line somewhat decent, they can find themselves in this division and have a home playoff game because of it. And me and you've talked about this before. I hate the fact that you automatically get a home playoff game because you win your division, but that's the way it is. Even though they get 8 and 9, they're going to have that home playoff game, and next thing you know, it sets them up for success. So I think Green Bay is definitely in more trouble than Tampa Bay just because of the divisions they're in.
Talk to me, John.
All right, I've got a curveball. I've been waiting for this topic all day. I've got a curveball. Nobody saw this coming. I didn't tell Eric. I didn't tell Raylan about this. So I thought about this because both teams just look awful. So Aaron Rodgers is soon going to retire. Tom Brady clearly, we all believe like he's either going to retire or he's gone after this season, like from the Bucks. Like either way, I don't think Tom Brady's going to be a Buck next season. If you're these teams, do you go to the trade deadline and do you fire sale? Do you start over? Because the point you're at with both of these teams, like your teams aren't very good clearly, and you're riding quarterbacks that are at the very, very end of their careers, and you have no plan for life after these two quarterbacks. You have absolutely no plan. There's nothing
Hey,
like
man,
there's
listen,
nothing on the other side of
hey,
the fence right now.
hey,
So if you go to this
Green-
trade deadline, I know it sounds crazy, but do you have to? If you're the Bucks, you have to say this isn't working and it's not going to work. Do we start to tear this down and start to get draft picks because we know Brady's going to be gone? And if you're the Packers, the same thing. Like it's not that crazy.
I'll tell you this: the last 3 times I can recall a team pretty much giving up on a legendary quarterback. That legendary quarterback then went on to still play well somewhere else. Coach said, this ain't it no more with Peyton Manning. He went on and won a Super Bowl somewhere else. Green Bay said, this ain't it with Brett Favre. He went and made the Jets relevant. He went and made Minnesota relevant. New England said, this ain't it. The man went and won a Super Bowl. So, like, it's kind of hard when you have a guy of that legendary stature. You always feel like they can do it.
You feel like you have
time.
a chance, right?
You feel like you have a chance with those guys. What I don't understand, actually, Trey, let me get your answer on this because I have a follow-up question. It wasn't on the rundown, but I have a follow-up question about Green Bay. Talk to me. Who's more in more trouble, Green Bay or Tampa Bay right now?
I personally think the Packers. I mean, I can try to joke and talk about how Tampa Bay is going to lose to the Panthers. The Panthers are 2-0 in the division. We already whooped the Saints. We've already. But no, for real, it's going to be the Packers. I'm sorry, they have a tougher road ahead, and it seems like they got. I mean, the Bucks aren't showing well, but I do kind of believe in 12. So when I look at Rodgers again,
Which 12? Which 12?
Tom Brady.
Okay, I don't want to make
Tom
sure.
Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady. But not like the Packers. They have a tougher road, so I got to look at. I got to count that as my deciding factor. So I got to look at the Packers.
So let me ask this question. Y'all know who Patrick Queen is?
Linebacker.
For the Ravens.
Linebacker for Baltimore. T. Higgins, know who that is? Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, number 2, number 3, how you want to look at it in Cincinnati. Michael Pittman is the dog. DeAndre Swift, the running back in Detroit. These are players that were taken after Jordan Love. My question is,
ouch.
Immediately after, like 2-3 picks after.
Damn. And Jonathan Taylor was in that draft too. I believe Jonathan
Which,
Taylor.
and you know what? If you want to say, hey, they didn't need a running back, right? Chase Claypool also was in that draft a little bit after Jordan Love, right? My thing is this: how much do we blame Green Bay front office for what that roster looks right now? Because we've said this year after year, right? Why won't they go get him more weapons? We've been saying this for 4 or 5 years, right? And then this summer, not only did they not go get him more, they let his best weapon just walk out the door. And now you're sitting there, and John says this team doesn't have a way forward. They don't have a way forward, but they spent the first-round draft pick on the guy that's sitting on the bench that they don't feel comfortable playing. Damian, how much do we – I know y'all are prepared. This wasn't on the rundown, but we just talk sports. This is how it goes sometimes. Talk to me, Damian. How much are you blaming the front office in Green Bay for what it looks like right now?
If I was going to put a percentage on it, I'll give them probably 65, 70% of that pie, right? Because when you look at this roster, the lack of weapons, offensive line, that all falls on the front office not providing what's needed for Aaron Rodgers, right? Because that running game is also very bad, which they were supposed to be able to lean on this year with the lack of weaponry on the outside. So if you don't have the running game, you don't have something to set up easy plays down the field, like, play action, going down the field and making these wide receivers, get open on easier routes. Now you put everything on Aaron Rodgers to do with less time. You're seeing the result of that. So, and the defense is supposed to be really good. So that part, I guess you put on coaching because they have talent on the defensive side. It's just not working out for some reason. So that's why I would give the front office 65, 70% of this, because something went wrong as far as their planning. Because you look at Kansas City. They lost their top receiver in Tyreek Hill, but they had a plan as far as how to replace him, how to replace that production, how to go forward. Seems like Green Bay was like, oh, we're going to lose Devontae Adams and we'll be fine. and they didn't think about how to go forward with that for some reason. So I'll give them a heavy percentage of it.
I'm coming to you, Trey.
I don't know how much of a percentage I want to blame on management. I look at management, right? I look at coaching, and I look at Aaron Rodgers kind of going to the Lakers a little bit, like Braun kind of says, all right, I want to play with this player. I want to play with this player. Even if you want to look at the Bucs scenario, right? Tom Brady brought in Antonio Brown into his house, and then he was on his team. So I think to a degree, Aaron Rodgers needs to get looked at as well. So I don't want to blame it all on management. I think there's a good amount of blame to go around. But I will say this, though. Management did not do their job for a bevy of years. They rode the coattails of Aaron Rodgers. So,
John, I hate to jump in before you, John, but I need to piggyback off something Trey just said, right? Because we was just this
guy, go for it.
Well, no, this is more NFC South related, sort of, kind of, but it's more of a totality thing, right? We talk about Aaron Rodgers and them not giving him weapons. Then it's like, how much blame? If you ask me, it's 100% of the blame because we've seen it the last couple of years, right? So Tampa Bay already has a bevy of weapons. You have Mike Evans, you have Godwin, right? And Jameis Winston throws for 5,000 yards, 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns. You go, man, if he just did throw 30 interceptions, we'd be pretty good. Not only did they upgrade, they said, we're going to go get who many call the GOAT, right? We go get him. But we're still not satisfied. After we do that, we have Godwin, we have Evans. We're also going to pull Gronk out of retirement. We're also going to go get Leonard Fournette. We're also going to go get Antonio Brown. You look at Stafford last year. He comes over to the Rams. We're going to go get OBJ. We're going to go get Von Miller. We're going to go all in on winning right now. Tell me one key move the Packers have made in the past 7 years. What?
They gave Aaron Rodgers his $50 million.
Right.
They went and got Randall Cobb for him like he asked.
That's horrible. When you really put that in perspective and you go, what was the best move they made, right, to secure him some help? It was Randall Cobb.
Well, that's what he asked for. That wasn't them. He asked for that. They just obliged.
I'm simply saying when you put it in context with how teams are winning, right? When Peyton Manning won as a shell of himself, he had a ton of weapons out there, right?
Yep.
Brady had weapons galore in Tampa Bay. Stafford had it all, right, last year. Yeah. When Mahomes won, he had it all, right? Like, he had it all. You look – speaking of, y'all see that guy in –
like Joe Burrow almost should have
has it all. It was in the Super Bowl last year, right? Yeah. Did y'all see that guy? Did y'all see that game last year, Buffalo and Kansas City, one of the greatest games we've ever seen, right? Y'all remember that guy that had 4 touchdowns?
Which one?
Gabriel, the guy that came out of nowhere. Yeah. He's balling this year too. Gabriel Davis, right? Yeah. Guess what? He was drafted after Jordan Love too. Like, it's unreal. That guy in Baltimore right now, Duvernay, he was drafted after Jordan Love too.
Nobody cares about no Duvernay. Stop it. Nobody cares about
He would be doing Aaron Rodgers more good than Jordan Love sitting on the bench right now.
Aaron, look. Did you watch the play that was broken down yesterday? Sammy Watkins streaking down the field. Big play. Streaking down the field wide open. And Aaron Rodgers is scared in the pocket, like he doesn't trust his guys. And instead of seeing what Aaron Rodgers normally sees, a guy streaking downfield, Aaron Rodgers, like in the past, if that happens, he sees him immediately, and that's a touchdown. He didn't trust his guys. He didn't trust his line. He didn't trust his receivers, and he threw a 3-yard pass for an incompletion instead of throwing it to Sammy Watkins downfield. Because part of it's on Aaron Rodgers because he has this ego where he's or he just thinks he thinks he can do anything with everybody. And it's like I get you're Aaron Rodgers, but just be you lost Devontae Adams. I tried telling you guys at the beginning of the year, losing Devontae Adams is going to matter. And James Tatum was, all over us saying, well, back-to-back MVPs. There's no way Aaron Rodgers could look like this. And I tried telling him, not every quarterback is going to make no names look like that. Like when Peyton Manning was on the Colts, he didn't have Marvin Harrison anymore. Reggie Wynn was aging. He made Pierre Garçon look good. We were like, oh, who's this Pierre Garçon? He looks great. That was because Peyton Manning. He made guys like Brandon Stokely look great.
That's
Dallas
the name
Clark.
I go to all the time. Peyton Manning made us believe Brandon Stokely was legit.
Exactly. No offense to Aaron Rodgers, but Like he doesn't exactly. It's not a knock on him, but he's not that guy that's just going to take
Did you
Dobbs
see
or
Greg?
whatever and
Hold
make
on,
him
real
look like a
quick.
superstar.
Did you see Greg Jennings when he left Green Bay?
I mean, you lose Aaron Rodgers. It's that's a hard loss.
By the way, another guy Green Bay let go. Did y'all see that guy that had 111 yards last night in Kansas City? Yeah, Green Bay let him go too. So we're gonna go to break. When we come back, we're gonna transition. First week of the NBA, we're gonna talk about it. We catch y'all on the next side. Y'all know what it is. We back and we transition to NBA. That means I had to get myself right. Y'all see, still rep my Lions, but we had to get right as we transition to NBA. Let me get the crew back in here. Josh here, Trey, and Mr. Hey, Eric, I'm sorry. I forgot, sir. I'm used to having to do that myself. Shout out to Eric Wilson, normal host. He in the background on the ones and twos producing. I'm up here clicking buttons. He clicking at the same time. So let's transition to the NBA. And Trey, I'm going to come to you first since we're going to start off talking about our team. Is it more shocking that the Lakers are 0-3 or that the Utah Jazz, who by all accounts are supposed to stink right now, are 3-0?
I just want to get on a quick soapbox. Like I'm gonna make it as fast as possible. Wasn't the biggest fan, when Bron initially came over to the Lakers. That's another story for another day. Wasn't the biggest fan of the AD trade that we made. Wasn't the biggest fan of the Russell Westbrook acquiring that we did. Then when I look at the teams the Lakers play, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Blazers, they're sneaky, by the way. The Blazers are sneakily pretty good. And then I look at the teams that the Jazz played, the Nuggets, the Wolves, and the Pelicans. I say wholeheartedly, with pleasure, that the Utah Jazz are a lot more shocking than the Lakers, because I expected the Lakers to lose at minimum 2 of those. I did not expect the Jazz to win any of these games. So I got to say Jazz personally. Conley's been. I've also forgot Conley and Clarkson were gone. I did factor the fact that they're going to be gone this season. I'm hoping they get traded. But yeah, no, for me it's the Jazz. So I just wanted to answer that pretty quickly.
Let me get my other guest in here, Damien. Damien, again, he follows hoops. He knows this stuff. So talk to me. Lakers are. What's more shocking? And we really gonna talk some more about the Lakers. We just have to. But what's more shocking right now? The Jazz being undefeated, or the Lakers having not won a game yet?
I got to go with the Utah Jazz. Like most of us expected the Lakers to be pretty bad. Even if we had them, maybe in the play-in, we didn't expect them to start well with the schedule that they have. Like I thought with the first 7 games, they could go 1-6. Like they still got some tough matchups coming up pretty soon here. So with the Jazz, I definitely did not expect this. They don't have anybody on their roster that you point to and be like, that's the guy who we're going to go to and he's going to get us 25 points. Like you got Colin Sexton who can do that. Jordan Clarkson can get hot, but it's guys who are consistent in that way, right? And they're winning in different ways. One night it was Sexton, one night it was Clarkson. Yesterday against my Pelicans, it was Lauri Markkanen going crazy. So they're winning in different ways, and you can tell they're well coached. And I like how they used every inch of the floor. Like watching that game yesterday, they had our team just scrambling all over the place, trying to guard their pick and roll, the way they spread the floor out, because they have shooters in Kelly Olynyk and Markkanen who are also bigs, right? Kelly Olynyk probably had the ugliest game winner of all time, but the reason they worked is because they have the size to create those mismatches where you have Lauri Markkanen get on CJ McCollum. And McCollum, it was good defense, but he's too small. So Olynyk was able to get that easy layup. So I think it's very shocking with the Jazz. I can see it coming back down to earth, though. I think we saw that a little bit in the game yesterday because the Pelicans were able to come back in that fourth quarter after they made some adjustments. And they switched up our matchups where we were able to match up with what they were doing. So I think they do come back down to earth eventually, but the start is shocking for the Jazz for sure.
Well, I mean, we made this rundown earlier today. As we talk right now, they did lose to the Houston Rockets tonight, who got their first win. But I'm coming to you real quick. Get all 4 of us on here. Can anybody? I'm looking at it, so it doesn't count. Can anybody name the Utah Jazz starting 5?
Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Laurie Markkinen. Does Kessler start? And then their small forward, I forget. I confidently got 3 out of the 5 though. And then
Yeah, so it's Jared Vanderbilt is another one that starts for him.
Yep, thank you.
Karl
Thank
Malone,
you.
John
Yeah.
Stockton.
Hey, listen, you know what? That was funny. That was funny. This is one of those seasons where all season, every time the Jazz play, you think Chuck and Shaq would be on TNT going, Karl Malone rolling over in his grave. Like that's what you thought you would see from the Jazz, and they come out and they beat some pretty solid teams. So talk to me, John. More shocking to you, the Lakers sitting at 0-3 and a very bad 0-3, mind you. Like it's not like they're just losing games. They look very bad while they're losing. We look very bad while we're losing. Or the Utah Jazz sitting at now 3-1, but at the time of us making this rundown, 3-0.
So, I mean, as far as I know, you two are Laker fans, correct?
You see this hat? Don't play with me.
Okay, so you know they have LeBron James and you know they have AD. Those two players are playing, correct?
They are.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, like LeBron James and AD are playing. AD hasn't, that glass hasn't broken yet. Like he hasn't gotten poked in the eye or poked in the ear or whatever. Like that hasn't happened yet. Hasn't stubbed his toe. Those two players are still playing. Like the shocking thing to me is the Lakers. How do you have LeBron James who's playing 36.5 minutes a game? You're 0-3. I don't care if you're playing the Warriors or not. As far as I know, LeBron James' entire career, it hasn't mattered if he's had a Russell Westbrook or whoever. Look at all those Cavs teams with all the all those guys he had, and he still took them to the playoffs, took them to the finals like all those years. So you still have LeBron James and AD. It don't matter how bad Russ is. LeBron has always been able to compensate for and overshadow all the bad things on his teams. And to me, it's got to be the Lakers. Like when you have LeBron James and you're 0-3 to start a season, and he's playing really well. Like I'm not saying it's on LeBron because he scored 27 a game, 11 boards, 7.3 assists. Like LeBron's doing his thing, and he at his age he's averaging almost 37 minutes a night through 3 games. Still doing his thing.
Because he has to.
I know. I'm just saying, like, the shocking thing has to be the Lakers. If LeBron's giving you that at his age, and LeBron has overcome every bad teammate possible, how the heck are they 0-3? How do they not manage to win with what LeBron's been doing? You know what I'm saying? That's shocking.
I see you, Trey. Here's the thing. First off, LeBron's never had a teammate this bad that's expected to
Come
do
on,
this
man.
much. Listen to me.
Deladova and guys like that.
Listen
Those guys still playing basketball?
John, just listen for a second. No, put him back on the screen. I don't want to. I mean, he good. But he's never had a teammate this bad that's expected to be good. You get what I'm saying? Like Deladova's not expected to be good, right? Russell Westbrook is supposed to be the 3rd best player on the team. So when the 3rd best player on the team is this awful,
future Hall of Famer that bad.
Exactly. He's a future Hall of Famer and he's playing awful. You want to take a wild guess what Russell Westbrook is shooting from 3? 8%. Not 80, not 18, 8%.
Do you think any of this is on purpose by Russ?
0.083.
Yes.
Probably is.
Yes.
So listen, he's shooting 8% from 3 on 4 attempts a game, which means he letting them fly. That's about what he shoots for his career, 4 attempts a game. You know what he's shooting from the field? 29% from the field.
He looked good on the Wizards a couple years ago. There's no way he just forgot how to play basketball. There's no way.
He doesn't fit well with Braun.
Right, but doesn't fit well doesn't mean he can't shoot a basketball. He forgot how to shoot a basketball.
He's never been a great shooter, right?
But he can't shoot at all.
If you look at the last 4 years, that's been a trend, right? 27% from 3, 28% from 3. Then he forgot how to shoot free throws. Early in his career, Russell was an 80% guy from free throw. Now he's 65. And with everything that happened this offseason, he was kind of looked at as a scapegoat. He was being held accountable for everything that happened last year. And then they tried to trade him. Then the coach talked about bringing him off the bench in the preseason. He faked a hamstring injury. Then you see the videos with him looking like he don't want to be with the team. During the summer games, Brown was sitting on one side. He was on the other side. It's a whole lot going on. And the thing is, Russell Westbrook has never, ever, if you go find some of Ray Lynn before I was the sports reporter out page, go look at my Facebook page and see when I said, the problem with Russell Westbrook is he can't lead a team to a championship. And I also said, I don't know if there's anybody he can play alongside that's going to make him dial his game in enough that he can be a second guy, right? He's LeBron James like. He's a 6'3" LeBron James in terms of what he does on the basketball court. He has to have the ball to be effective. He got to rebound. He got to score. He got to assist, right? Well, you got a guy who's been doing that for 20 years and doing it better than you. So now you have to learn how to play off the ball. But that means you got to be able to shoot. When he went to Houston, Harden was doing the same thing. They changed their whole team just so Russ can be effective. They traded everybody that couldn't shoot and said, we're going to play with 5 guys, 6, 7, and under, just so Russ can operate. That's what he has to have. And he doesn't have that now, right? Damian, I see you shaking your head. Talk to me. Let's talk some more about the Lakers, right? Like, because I did a blog the other day, and I said this roster is constructed horribly. They went out, their biggest moves in the offseason. Now you have Russell Westbrook, Pat Beverly, Kendrick Nunn, and they got one other point guard.
Lonnie Walker.
They went and got Dennis Schroeder back, right?
Yeah.
They just signed all point guards in the offseason when you have LeBron James. The one thing they didn't sign, not a single shooter, not one. They don't have anybody that strikes fear. They don't like when Kyle Korver, when you kick it to Kyle Korver, you expect it to be good. Joe Harris, Duncan Robinson. They don't have a guy like that, right? Talk to me. Like, is this going to be this way for 79 more games? Is this what we can expect? Can the Lakers turn this thing around, or is it a wrap?
I don't see how they turn it around with that roster. You mentioned how poorly constructed that roster is. We've known forever the best way to build around LeBron James is you got to have one other star, right? We saw that in the Dwayne Wade days, the Kyrie Irving days. You're going to have one other star, but you want to have shooters around him. So when he operates, you spread the floor, and now you have no way of stopping him unless you come down and help, and that's when you kick it out to those shooters. But now when he kicks it out, you got Russell Westbrook, like you said, shooting 8% out there. You have other people out there who are not good shooters. He said it himself. We don't have a bunch of lasers on our team, right? So when he's saying that 2 games in, 3 games in, it's not a good sign. So I don't see how they improve the roster either. I don't see how they can make any trades, honestly, unless they want to give up those draft picks they got way down the line, which you don't want to do when your team is this bad, right? Because now, as a Pelicans fan, I'm enjoying this because it might mess around and lead to the Pelicans getting Victor Wembanyama. So I'm enjoying this a lot. But this is gonna be bad for the Lakers this year. I don't see how it turns around because this roster just isn't built for them to play well. And also, it seems like the chemistry is just off. Like yesterday when they were playing against the Blazers, they had that game in the bag. Everybody's concentrating on the Russell Westbrook. He pull up where he said he was going for a 2-for-1 in the fourth quarter. Who does that? But that was horrible. But before that happened, they shouldn't have even been in that position. They were up 7 with less than 2 minutes left. And somehow they let the Blazers get back into it. Now, of course, you had Damian Lillard being Dame, but you can't allow that to happen to get in that position where Russell Westbrook makes that bad decision and now you're losing that game. So their chemistry is messed up. It seems like they don't have a plan at the end of games. They just seem disconjointed. So maybe they get better as far as chemistry, but the roster is just too bad for them to turn it around.
And that's probably the one thing that I like throughout his career that I've never understood about Russell Westbrook. I've never understood how you let a guy named Damian just get the best of you. Trey, Trey, talk to me about this roster and the rest of the season, man. I mean, what can the front office do? What should the front office do? Move forward is constructed. What's the move?
I think we gotta be a little patient. It's like 3-4 games into the season, right? We don't have shooters. Let's call a spade a spade. I do want to believe a little bit in Austin Reeves. He's not that bad. I'm not saying he's on the Kyle Korver level though, but again, like he should be able to find a little role. I did hear a little trade talk possibility with Terry Rozier. So like I would love that. Maybe we could sneak in a Kelly Oubre in the deal. I might be willing to let go of those draft picks then. Because again, we did
put us on for her. Trey. You're the GM of the Charlotte Hornets.
I'm not doing it.
No. You're the GM of the Charlotte Hornets. I'm Genie Bus. I call. I want Rozier and Oubre. Your response is what? I'm saying you look up and down this Lakers roster. What do you want from us?
What
can I give you for Terry Rozier and Oubre on this roster right now?
That's my point.
You have to be giving up Russ. Here's the thing, though. Jordan does like Russell Westbrook. So we have to bank on that. Like, we have to bank on something like that. They don't need them. Like, they don't need Russell Westbrook at all. This would be a bailout move for the Lakers, which personally, I don't think we have a lot of bailout opportunities out here. Again, I said I heard that trade talk. I don't think they make that move. Same with the Pacers. Like I don't know. I don't know why we got Russ over DeMar DeRozan. Like that's really what it boils down to. I'm still kind of heartbroken on that. Again, I listed off the other ones as well. I'm not going to go back down that one.
So talk to me, John. How bad can this get for LA?
How bad?
Like, what's worst case scenario for the Lakers? What's worst case scenario? A realistic, I could see this happening.
I mean, the worst case scenario is that they win enough games to where they knock themselves out of the running for the number 1 overall pick, but they don't make the playoffs.
Hey,
I think
real
that's
quick, I
worst
don't know.
case scenario. Like, you don't want to be in that middle
Hold on,
land.
real quick. I don't know if you heard Damian. They don't even own their pick.
Oh, they don't even own their pick.
Yeah, it would go back to the Pelicans.
So they don't have a first round pick for.
No, they're stinking for the Pelicans to get better.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If we get the number 1 draft pick, I'm gonna denounce my Laker fandom and become a Pelican fan. On record.
Say we earned y'all this.
So is it possible that you get rid of AD Glass Joe and get something for him? Like, is that possible? Because that's really the only piece you have to trade away. You don't have anything else to try and like build for the future, because you got to start building, because you don't have anything.
And here's the thing, right? And we can toss this around, right?
Like, but is anybody going to take that?
You're right. So if you're building for the future, right? Are you building around 38-year-old LeBron James?
No, you got to let go of Braun, and I was glad.
Is he the piece?
I think LeBron's going after this year anyway.
You have to let go. You have to let him go.
I don't think he stays anyway.
Because I think the only reason you keep Bron, any team at this point, the only reason you keep LeBron James is that maybe he breaks the record in your stadium, right? Like people will buy tickets
it's good
and line
business,
up.
but it's not.
It's great. It's actually great business. People keep players all the time just to.
No, I know. I'm just saying you're not winning the championship.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're trading for LeBron James, you're probably not contending at this point anyway, right? Or a contender trades for him, right? Like a contender trades for him.
Like, what if Philly wants him?
What contender does he fit with?
None. Because and I'm saying that because if a team is a contender right now, that means they're built with a number 1 guy, right? Boston, Tatum, Milwaukee, Giannis, Golden State, Steph, Memphis, John, right? No team is kind of like that, like the Pistons of the 2000s, right? Like we play team ball and we don't have a guy, right? Wherever LeBron goes, he has to be the guy. So where does he go to a team that's a contender right now where he's not overshadowing or taking that guy out of their role? You get what I'm saying?
What about Miami?
No, we don't want him back. We already have our culture. We don't. Our culture is good. We don't want cancer culture. We don't want that. Keep that away from here.
How about the Suns? Ayton had a little shake up. You move Bridges. You sneak in LeBron James. You try to find a little center to play backup. You pair him with CP3 and D Book.
Cancer culture is perfect in Phoenix. Can
we go back to what Damian said?
I'm just saying.
That might be the only team that's a legit contender that makes sense is Miami. And I know you don't like this. I know you don't like that, John, right? But like if you look, right, realistically, now Jimmy has won my respect. In the playoffs, he turns into a whole nother player. I don't know what's going on there. He turns to a whole nother player. But when you look at Miami, you ask, what's wrong with that team, right? And you go, man, like they don't have like Jimmy's not going to go down in the history of the game as one of the guys that you think about. Like when you think about the guys you have to win championships, right? A LeBron James, a Steph Curry, a KD, a Mike, a Kobe, a Shaq, a Tim Duncan, a Dirk. Like Jimmy's not going to go down with those names. You have to have a guy like that to win, a Giannis. So you throw LeBron out there, and the only 2 people you don't give up is Jimmy and Bam. If I'm Miami, it gotta start with Tyler Hero. It gotta start with Hero. Nope.
I don't want that.
If I'm giving you LeBron, I know you don't want it. But if you put LeBron out there with Jimmy and you keep Duncan Robinson, you keep your shooter.
That's 2 dogs right there. That's 2 dogs, Jimmy and LeBron.
Man, listen, I don't think this is gonna happen. But you never know. He could make a second coming home, right? Hey, real quick, before we shift to the last topic or two, Damian, are you starting to feel like y'all won that trade?
Yes. I am. I am feeling like that because these picks, like this year and next year, could be some really good picks. Like even if we don't get Victor, right? But we get maybe we get Scoot or whoever it is in in one of those top picks. Man, to add that to the roster we already have, and Brandon Ingram, I think it's going to be an All NBA guy this year, and we got that in the trade. So I'm loving this deal right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, forget what happens in the draft. That team right now, Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, probably like CJ McCollum's gonna be one of them dudes that 20 years from now people won't. You know what I mean, like, because he's not gonna be a Hall of Famer. But if you watch during this era, he was like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he's a really good player. Like if you ever watched it in Portland whenever Dame missed time, you know what I'm saying? It was like that. So we only got about 5 minutes left. Anything after that is overtime. So speaking of Dame Lillard, he making a return in a strong way, ain't he? 40 in back-to-back games. Zion's back on the court looking very good. Damian, I know you're happy to see that. Kawhi, limited. Jamal Murray's back on the court. John Wall. Listen, that's like giving my answer. But of all the guys that had missed time last year, you saw the 5 pictures on the screen. It's not limited to those guys. Who have you been most impressed with? I'm going to start with you, John, and I'm going to come to the guest last.
Kawhi. It's Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi, like this, he changes the entire dynamic of the Western Conference because now Golden State has another team that they have to worry about just because of Kawhi. With Kawhi, the Clippers are a threat. And no offense to the Pelicans, no offense to, Dame, he runs the Trailblazers. Like, no offense to any of those guys that you put up. Like, but Kawhi, like with Kawhi, that changes the dynamic of the Western Conference. So to me, it has to be him. I feel like we kind of forgot how great this guy was because he's been out of the game for so long. Like we kind of forgot like how damn good this guy was. Look what he did with Toronto. Look what he did with the Spurs against my Heat. Like it has to be Kawhi. He changes everything in the NBA when he's right. When he's right. I don't know how right like he's going to be this season. I got to see it like the whole way because 82, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But Kawhi's the guy, man.
All right. So apparently John didn't understand the question. So Damien, I'm going to ask you a question.
You asked me a question. I answered it maybe in a mic way, but
Yeah. John, who have you been most impressed with so far? Because John talked to me about what he think the rest of the year going to look like. I want to know so far, seeing these guys on the court, who's impressed you the most? Damian, I was coming to you.
So I got to go with my namesake, Damian Lillard. He's been absolutely destroying it, giving you so far 34 points per game, shooting 47% from the field, 36% from three, 93% from the free throw line, and that's on 9 attempts per game. Now, it's a very small sample, but that's one thing that I look for in players that are aging or getting a little older is how much do they go to the free throw line? Are they still attacking the rim? And you're getting 9 free throws a game. That means you're attacking the rim. You're making your presence known. You're getting easy buckets and still being effective. So Damian Lillard has been very, very, very impressive so far. So I got to go with him. Now, his production may go down a little bit, but I can see him throughout the season giving you 30 points a game and still being very efficient throughout.
Talk to me, Trey.
I mean, I hate to say ditto, but Dame, it's Dame's time, fellas. Long story short, I mean, he's been playing pretty well. I just want to say though, can I give a quick shout out to my guy Dennis Smith Jr., who's my real answer though? That's just me. 13, 2, 5, 2.7 steals, 1 block, 57% field, 71% from the three. 100% from the free throw line. Granted, though, he ain't been shooting many free throws, but still it's impressive stats, though. He's on the comeback. I'm just saying.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think players who maybe didn't live up to expectations can reinvent themselves this late in their career?
I do actually. Some players don't know really how to deal with the outside world, the expectations. So you still see that talent there in flashes. Like I remember LeBron James was raving about Dennis Smith Jr. Hint Lakers. So if they get that confidence back, it's kind of like Markelle Fultz. I truly think Buddy just lost his confidence, and you can start to see he got it back a little bit. So I think later on in their careers, they find out, hey, No, I can play this well. It's the same way with people who weren't good shooters at one point in time, and they can kind of reinvent themselves. It's all about what you put the work into.
Okay, so really quick, for the purposes of our Roku show on DBTV, you know what I'm trying to say, John. DBTV, right? We have to cut it at 56 minutes, but we are going to go into overtime because I got some more stuff I want to talk about. But while we're on the air, while our viewers are watching, I want my two guests to go ahead and plug themselves real quick. Damian Adams, tell the people where they can find you.
So yes, you can find me on social media at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha. I host a plethora of podcasts, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, the 3rd and 3 podcast, live on Facebook every Wednesday night, and also the GSMC Boxing podcast for my fight fans out there, and the GSMC Basketball podcast. Those come out each and every week as well.
Talk to us, Trey. Where can the people find you?
All right. So look, you can find me on YouTube at Gab Podcast. You can also find me on Instagram at _podcast. Those are the main 2 platforms up there. And they also got my link tree on my Instagram. So, if you want to take a look at any other platforms that I am on, those are usually the 2 platforms I'm on. So
if you're watching this on DBTV, we will catch you next time. For everybody else, we're going to overtime. All right, so it's overtime. Overtime pretty much is when the show just get too good. The conversation is good. The banter is good. And we got more we want to talk about. We are on Roku TV. You can catch us on DB channel. So we have to cut the show at 56 minutes. But for our StreamYard, we can stay as long as we want to. I wanted to talk about this, right? I'm looking. Memphis just beat Brooklyn, right? Now, you talk about 2 duos duking it out. Kyrie and KD both had 37. Morant and Desmond Bane both had 38, right? But Memphis won by 10. The most alarming thing, it's not shocking, but the most mind-boggling thing when you look at this box score is you got this big shootout going, and Ben Simmons attempted 5 field goals. I think he is now through 3 games attempting 4 some odd field goals a game. Oh, man, we didn't even get to our other question. Yeah, so here's 2 questions. What's wrong in Brooklyn, and what's wrong in Philly?
Ooh.
Take one of them, Damien. Take Philly. Let's start with Philly. What's wrong with the 76ers?
So the 76ers before tonight were playing at the slowest pace in the NBA. 30 out of 30. They had the 30th pace. And when you're playing that slow, you're putting way too much pressure on each and every possession. So it wasn't like they were out there playing bad. You're seeing James Harden starting to look like James Harden again. Joel Embiid has had big games. But playing at that pace, you're not going to score a lot of points. So even though they were playing good defensively, they were top 10 in defense in the league, they still weren't playing well enough offensively because of the pace to keep up and score points. And then their bench, they're getting no production from their bench at all before tonight. Tonight they scored like 36 points from the bench. Before tonight, they weren't getting any production at all. In the game against the Spurs, they got outscored 40-10 on the bench. Like, that's just unacceptable. You look at players like DeAnthony Melton, who's supposed to be one of your scorers, getting you like 4 points a game in 19 minutes. Daniel House getting you 4 points a game in 18 minutes. You're not playing Thibault because of his lack of shooting probably, but he can help you out when it comes to defending the three-point line and just being an overall good defender. So I think that right now they have to speed up their pace and also need somebody on the bench to step up. That's the 2 biggest things that's wrong in Philly.
Hey, real quick, let me address this comment. I like to talk to my viewers. That's my guy, Derek. He's referring to me. I made a post not long before the show, and I put a picture of Harden and Embiid up. And I said, when 21 is healthy, or when 1 is healthy, 21 might not be the best player on the team no more. I firmly believe that. I think because he's been injured the last 2 years, people really forget who and what James Harden was and who he's been in this league the past 7, 8, 9. I mean, like, consistently going all the way back to 2014. Ever since he went to Houston and got his own team, you can pencil that guy in for 27, 7, and 5. And then he went crazy, 30 and 32 and 36. Got an assist title, got a scoring title, got it, won an MVP, got it, finished second in MVP another 3 times. Like, over the past 8 years in this league, he's been a top 5 player every single year. You can pencil him in for his 30 points. You can pencil him in for a 7, 8 assists. You can pencil his team in the playoffs. You can pencil him to win games. Like, Harden's been that. And then he went to a team with a very talented guy in Kevin Durant. And he said, okay, I'll play point guard, right? and then he got hurt, and all of a sudden people forgot how good he is. And now he looks healthy, and he looks like scary hours James Harden again. I think if James Harden is healthy, he is the best player on that team. Like, I don't even think it's a reach. Like, I think he's the best player on that team when healthy. Talk to me, John. What's wrong in Philly?
I think it's just a slow start. I mean, I think they'll be fine there. I mean, they're not, like I told Eric before, they're not going to be a top 2 seed, but they'll be a top 4 seed. I mean, the top 4 teams, you already know the top 4 teams. Like, outside of that, everybody else can just fight for it. Cleveland and all them can fight for 5 and 6 and, try and stay out of that play-in game. But they'll be fine. Like, I'm not overreacting with the Sixers. I mean, the Heat are starting slow. It seems like, quite a bit of teams are just kind of starting slow. And so it's kind of like the NFL season when you see the first week or 2 or 3 weeks and you're like, well, what's wrong with this team? And it's like everybody just kind of starts slow. I try not to overreact whenever you have a slow start. It's an 82-game season. Like, if you were like 1-10 or something like that, you might react a little bit different. But for me, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Sixers. I think they'll be perfectly fine. So I don't think there's anything wrong with them. It's just a slow start. It happens. They'll be perfectly fine.
Is it a slow start, Trey, or is it something bigger than that at play here?
I think it's just a slow start right now. I know people don't like Doc Rivers, right? But I think he will be able to turn this ship around. It was the bench play. It was the bench play, long story short, man. Like, what was it? Against the Celtics, they had 11. Against the Bucks, they had 13. And against the Spurs, they had 10 points. Like, off the bench. But against the Pacers, they had 37. Now, that is a little troubling because, again, the Pacers are at the bottom of the league for me. So I need to see the bench actually produce against playoff contending teams. If they can't do that, then I'm gonna start to have a little trepidation for the Sixers. But I do think they'll turn it around. James Harden is looking well. I think Embiid didn't really play his best game. Like, I think that 40-point outburst is going to be more to come. I got Embiid as a MVP this season. He's been a bridesmaid too long. It's time to bring it home. But if not, I might. This might be my last year for MVP. Embiid. I'm just saying. But I think it's a short-lived thing. They'll turn it around.
I almost think Embiid has no shot at MVP. And before the season, he was my preseason guy for MVP, and I think he has no shot now because you don't think with all the fatigue, with all the fatigue of Jokic
and Giannis, like, for MVP and LeBron for MVP, like, the fatigue for that, you don't think like that makes it easier
why Derrick Rose won MVP in 2011?
Because people were tired of voting for LeBron.
People tired of voting for LeBron. You know why? And that first year of him and Wade together, they looked more like equals than they did LeBron being the guy, right? It was year 2 where LeBron kind of separated himself, right? You know why KD or Steph couldn't win it? Because they was together. You know why Shaq only won one and Kobe only won one? When you play with somebody else that's as great as you, right? Harden had 29, 11, and 9 tonight, right? How are you gonna say this guy's the most valuable player in the league when it ain't clear that he's the most valuable player on his team? Well, I mean, that won't be clear all year.
Embiid does affect the game both offensively and defensively. And to be fair, too, the perception of James Harden, like you mentioned earlier, people forgot how good James Harden was. So that's going to have a little knock on him in MVP race as well. I personally think, like, there could be a voter fatigue for Embiid also, because you got players like Ja and Luka coming in. You want to see those players win it as well. This is his last chance. Like, and he's got a tall task because Harden's playing well, but he might taper off too.
Can we get rid of the voter fatigue? Can we just get rid of that and just make the best player the MVP? Like, can we just do that? Like, is that possible?
No, no, it's not.
You know what I mean? Like, the MVP should be the MVP.
But yeah,
it's human nature,
Exactly.
But then how do you define value though? Because if we just say the best player, then like, are we going to
define it how you define it every time you choose an MVP? If you say this guy is the most valuable
change it every time.
So the most valuable player on the best team is the MVP. Should we make that the absolute standard?
Let me ask this question real quick. I'm gonna go around the horn. Damian, but your vote? If you had a ballot, who's the league MVP last year?
Last year, I'd have put Giannis. Last year.
Trey,
I went Embiid.
who'd you have, John?
You have to go Embiid. You have to go Embiid. There's nobody that came close. I know Jokic likes to run up his stats and all that, but there's no way anybody was more valuable than Embiid last year.
Right.
No way.
Time out. Now, this is where we get into how do you define value. By normal league standards, by what they've done since the beginning of the award, right? You got to win games. You got to have stats, all that stuff. Embiid should have been MVP, right? Top 3 seed, all that good stuff.
Yeah. In
the history of the game, I can count on one hand, and I can name the years, the people that have won MVP that weren't a top 3 seed, right? You had Jokic last year. You had Russ when he won the triple-double. You had Kareem in 76, I think it was. With LA, they didn't make the playoffs. And that's it. And before then, the only guys that did it as a number 3 seed was Mike in 88. And the year Nash won it, he had the second. He had like the 3rd best record, but he was a 2 seed. Whatever, it was stupid the way it worked out. But he had the 2nd best record, but he was a 3 or 4 seed because of the division thing, right? Yeah. Other than that, every other guy was a 1-2 seed and won the MVP, right? So that's always been the standard. You have to be one of the best players on, like the best player on one of the best teams. And then when Russ did the triple-double, they started changing the rules, right? Narrative has always mattered. You don't have to be the best player. Derrick Rose wasn't the best player in the world in 2011. Steph might not have been the best player in the world in 2015. Won a lot of games, have a good storyline, catch people by surprise. We didn't see that coming, right? Jokic shouldn't have won MVP last year. But when you talk now, if you change it and go value, that storyline, no MPJ, no Jamal Murray, and they still in the playoffs and he's averaging almost triple-double. That's value, right? But I think Embiid has no chance because of number 1. Last question for overtime. John, we gave our picks. Damian, if you had to pick right now, not based off what's happened, just you haven't been on the show, give me your prediction. Who's going to win the MVP this year?
Beginning of the year, I picked Kawhi Leonard. I didn't know he was going to be this limited starting off. But like you said earlier, a player that's on a top 2 seed and the best player on that team usually has a good chance of winning MVP. And I think the Clippers can be the top seed in the Western Conference. And their best player is Kawhi Leonard. So that's why I think Kawhi Leonard has a good chance. And plus, we know Joker, he's fighting a real uphill battle because of voter fatigue and the fact that a lot of people think he shouldn't have won the award last year. So I think this is going to be wide open. So give me Kawhi Leonard for MVP.
I just want to say, I really think if the Clippers are really good this year, the best player on the team won't be Kawhi. I really think, and then I don't mean from a talent perspective. I mean, he's going to load manage. Kawhi won't play more than 60 games. He ain't played more than 60 games in 5 or 6 years, right? Since San Antonio. He's going to load manage, and he's already starting off on a minutes restriction. So the overall numbers are probably going to suffer a lot. You'll see his impact. But for them to be good, like, do you see they came out that first game flat? And I read an article where Ty Lue kind of told Paul George, you got to lead. And he went out and scored 40, right? I think for them to be really good, Paul George has to assert himself, kind of like he did that year in OKC with Russ. Talk to me, Trey. Give me an MVP candidate.
So, again, I did say Embiid. I made a video about it, but I do have a little hesitation on that. That's my guy, though. But you mentioned Paul George, right? Right. He's going to play well. You know, Kawhi, he might play well. Then there's another forward we got to mention, though, Jason Tatum. Like I had somebody else on my show, my guy Reese, and he did throw out Jason Tatum's name. Jason Tatum's been looking good based on the history of the league. The MVP, you know, like I said, is in the top 3 seeds. They've been playing pretty dominant, and I think that defines Jason Tatum this season. So Jason Tatum does have a solid chance at making MVP. Again, I want Embiid to win it, but Tatum got a good shot. Really,
I like that Tatum pick.
Talk to me, John.
Are you asking me about that pick?
No, but I mean your MVP pick. I mean, I don't remember what yours was, so by all means.
I mean, you know, like we've said before, Luka's a great pick. Yeah, nobody on here really mentioned Luka, but I mean, Luka's got to be a great pick. It feels like Luka's time is coming for that. Like it just feels like, yeah. I mean, everybody keeps mentioning Luka in the comments. It feels like Luka's time is like here for that. Like we got all the voter fatigue, we got all that. It feels like you guys mentioned. Same problem with Tatum is it's going to happen on the Celtics. Same problem that's happening on the on the Sixers, like where your own guys kind of cancel out your opportunity to win the MVP. I feel like that's going to happen. And what's there in Dallas? There's not really anything in Dallas to overshadow Luka. Everything is Luka. When you look at when we talk about the Mavericks, Luka's the only thing we really talk about. We're not going to really talk about anything else. So when Luka does what he's going to do this year, if he stays healthy, I mean, there's no way he doesn't win MVP just based on all those other factors. It feels like it's just his time.
Here's a very bold. Absolutely. Here's a very bold prediction, right? I think this is the year we literally see with our own eyes the changing of the guard. This is the baton handoff, right? I think Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors will still have a lot to say about who wins this championship, right? But it's kind of like when the 80s where Boston was still really good, LA was still really good. You had Detroit in there, but you knew that guy in Chicago was coming. Like it was about to be his league. And I genuinely believe the top 3 MVP finishers are going to be these 3 guys right here. They are about to take over the league. They are about to take over the league. Like you're seeing it already. I think those 3 guys is going to be their time. They're going to say it's our league now. So, hey, we went into overtime, man. If y'all still watching, shout out to y'all in the comments. Hey, I'm my guy Cortland in the comments, man. You always welcome, man. You family over here, bro. I wanted to get my guy Damian on here. I don't know. He just ran through my mind. I was like, yo, Damian never been on there. Let me reach out. And I reached out, and thankfully, man, he accepted. I appreciate you, bro. My guy Trey Dunn had me over there on Get a Bucket. His crew wild over there, man. Them boys wild over there. I like them. But y'all check them both out. They already plugged themselves, man. Again, I appreciate y'all. Catch the Sports Arena again Wednesday at 10 o'clock p.m. Anybody got anything else before we go? Because we already off TV, so.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on the show, man. Like this was good stuff. I appreciate it. Got to do it again.
Heck yeah.
Hey, same here, man.
I'm wondering why this jumped in the comments. It makes no sense to me. I don't know, man. I don't even know. That's my guy Dante.
That's what happens. That's bad management all around. Oh my gosh.
Hey man, y'all hang out real quick. I'm gonna catch y'all on the backside for everybody else, man. It's your boy, the Sports Reporter, Al Payne, John, Damian, Trey. We catch y'all next time.